You know, usually when we talk about technology, it feels a little abstract.
A bit distant, yeah.
It's code, it's predictions about 5 years from now. But if you look at the music industry right now, it is not theoretical at all. It feels more like a brawl.
Oh, it really does. I mean, we are way past polite debate. This is a full-blown identity crisis for an entire art form.
Right. You scroll through social media, you read the op-eds, and it is trench warfare. On one side, you have, the musicians, the composers.
People who have dedicated their lives to their craft.
Exactly. And they are screaming that they're being strip-mined by algorithms. It's fear, it's anger, it's heartbreak, really.
Well, and I mean, you can't blame them. It's justifiable anger. But then you do a complete 180 and you've got the developers, the prompt engineers, this whole new wave of creators.
And they don't see theft.
Not at all. They're seeing a renaissance. They see tools that are finally democratizing music for, the 99% of us who can't even play a C major scale.
And that's usually where the conversation just dies. You're a thief. No, you're a Luddite.
We just scream past each other.
But the reason we're doing this deep dive today is we found a piece of writing that just refuses to play that game.
We did. We're digging into this really thoughtful essay. It's called AI as Creative Instrument, a developmental integration of art, technology, and creation itself.
And it's by Nish Dabashi and Kaya Celine of a group called Soulful AI Music.
Yeah, and the mission of the piece, it isn't to pick a winner.
No.
Yeah.
It's to argue that the entire lens we're using to look at this is it's broken. They're proposing what they call a developmental shift.
Which I know it sounds a bit academic.
A little bit.
But the idea is pretty profound. They're basically saying we are trying to solve a 21st century problem with 19th century ideas. And if we want to get out of this mess, this battlefield,
we have to completely redefine what creativity even is.
Exactly.
So let's break that down. Why is this so intractable? Why can't the courts just, make a ruling and we all move on?
Because we're not just arguing about the law. The source says there are 3 distinct worldviews, all operating at the same time.
Okay.
And they're just crashing into each other. It's like trying to run 3 different operating systems on one computer. You're going to crash the hard drive.
All right, walk us through them. What's worldview number 1?
So this is the default setting for most of us right now. The source calls it the intellectual property logic.
The traditional view.
The traditional view. It's the idea that a creative work comes from one specific person. I made this, it's mine, I own it.
Which is the entire basis for copyright law.
It is. It's built on scarcity and individual ownership. So when you look at AI through that lens, training a model on music looks like a crime.
You're taking my property, my melodies, and feeding them to a machine.
And to a worldview 1 person, that is theft, period. It's extraction without any compensation.
And that logic seems pretty solid until you talk to the tech people. Because they don't see songs, do they?
No. And that brings us to worldview 2, the innovation or expansionist view. This logic doesn't see music as property in a locked box. It sees it as data. It sees patterns.
So a song isn't some sacred artifact. It's a data set to be learned from.
Essentially, yeah. Their whole argument is, well, this is how humans learn, right? You listen to the Beatles, so your songs sound a little like the Beatles.
Yeah.
AI is just doing that at a massive scale. So from this viewpoint, restricting access to data isn't protecting artists. It's just blocking progress.
Okay, so we have protection of labor versus progress of technology. That's the deadlock. But the essay says both of these are wrong or incomplete.
Incomplete, exactly. And this is the aha moment. They propose worldview 3. The systemic or integrative view.
And this is the tricky one.
It is, because it asks you to hold 2 opposing ideas in your head at once. It says, look, creativity is relational.
What does that mean?
It means that, yes, the tech view has a point. Innovation happens. We all stand on the shoulders of giants. No artist creates in a vacuum.
We all borrow and remix. Music has always been like that.
Always. But, and this is a huge but, it also says that worldview 1 is right about the human cost. You can't just ignore the power dynamics.
So just because technology can do something doesn't mean you ignore that it might bankrupt the very people who created the training data.
Precisely. The integrative view says technology changes how we make art. But art is still a deeply human, economic, and social thing. You need a system that honors both the input, these human artists, and the output of the new tools.
The problem is we don't have laws or institutions for worldview 3.
Not yet. Our laws are stuck in worldview 1. The technology is in worldview 2, and we're all just in the middle yelling.
So to get to this integrated future, the source says we have to tear down a big myth, one that I think, well, a lot of us really believe in. the myth of the singular genius.
This is where things get a bit uncomfortable for people. We love that idea. The lone artist struck by a bolt of lightning.
The romantic hero creating a masterpiece out of nothing. It's the whole basis of celebrity culture.
It is. But the authors argue that in the age of AI, and honestly, long before it, authorship is actually distributed. It's layered.
So when I hear an AI track, I'm not hearing one person's work.
You're hearing a collaboration across time and space involving a bunch of different people.
Okay, break down those layers for me. Because if I type make a sad jazz song into a generator, it feels like I made it.
You're the trigger, but you're just one part of a much bigger chain.
So what's the first layer?
The engineer. The person who actually designed the model's architecture. Their code creates the entire possibility space for the music. The source says they're a co-author of the music's potential.
That's fascinating. We usually think of the coders just building the tool, like the person who builds a guitar.
But this tool makes decisions. It has biases. It has tendencies. So yes, the engineer is an author. Then you get the most controversial layer, the dataset contributors.
All the musicians whose work was scraped.
The cultural inheritance, as the source calls it. These aren't just raw materials like wood or stone. They're the teachers. The model only knows what a melancholy chord progression is because thousands of humans expressed melancholy through music first.
They're invisible collaborators.
In every single AI track, you literally cannot have the output without their input.
Okay, so coder ancestors, then me, the user.
Then the user, the prompter. But here's a really critical distinction the essay makes. It's between pattern and meaning.
Pattern versus meaning, okay.
So an AI generates pattern. It looks at statistics. It knows that this drum beat usually follows that bass note 80% of the time. It's just math. It's syntax.
It has no idea what any of it means.
Zero idea. It doesn't know what heartbreak feels like. It doesn't know the cultural story behind a protest song. It doesn't know why a minor key feels sad. It just knows it's statistically connected to the word sad.
It's like a parrot. A really, really smart parrot.
Yeah.
But it's just repeating sounds.
Exactly. We, the humans, do the meaning making. We take those patterns and we interpret them. We assign them emotional value. We decide this song is about my breakup or this song is about our victory.
So the human's job shifts. It's less about generating the pattern.
And more about being the meaning steward.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
We're the curators, the directors. The machine can splash paint on the canvas, but we decide which painting to frame and why it matters. We provide the context.
Yes.
Which leads to a really practical point the essay makes. I think when we debate AI music, we assume everyone using it wants to be the next.
Before, they'd have to buy some cheesy stock track that doesn't really fit or risk getting a copyright strike. Now they can just generate exactly what they need.
They aren't trying to win a Grammy. They're solving a business problem.
Right, or a high school biology teacher. They want to help their students memorize the Krebs cycle, so they generate a little hip-hop track about it. That teacher is not competing with Drake.
They're just using music as a utility.
It's a tool. And the source argues that we have to distinguish between that utilitarian use and what they call identity-driven production.
Where the artist is the brand.
Exactly. And if we treat every AI song as an attack on professional musicians, we miss this whole other world where music is just a functional tool, like a spell checker for sound.
Okay, so the philosophy makes sense. Authorship is distributed. Humans provide meaning. The use cases are broad. But philosophy doesn't pay the rent. The authors actually lay out a practical roadmap. What does everyone actually have to do?
And they don't pull any punches here. They assign homework to everybody in the ecosystem.
Let's start with the big players. The AI developers, Suno, Udio, Google. What does this integrative view demand from them?
Step 1, radical transparency. They have to stop hiding what's in their training data. You can't build a culture-shaping machine inside a black box.
And what about the money? That's the real fight.
This is the hardest part. The source calls for collective licensing mechanisms.
Explain that. Because you can't track every single sample in a model. It's not like old school hip-hop sampling.
No, you can't. The AI learns from the aggregate. Right. It learns the idea of a snare drum from thousands of examples. So the compensation has to be aggregate too.
So like a tax or a royalty pool.
Something like that. A portion of the revenue from these models has to flow back to the ecosystem of human musicians that made it all possible in the first place. It's like a cultural carbon tax. You can't just extract the resource without replenishing the soil.
And I'm guessing they have a strong take on deepfakes.
A very hard line. You cannot clone a specific person's voice or identity without their consent. That is the bright line between style, which is always up for grabs, and identity, which has to be protected.
Okay, that's the tech companies. What about us, the users? You said just typing a prompt doesn't make you an artist.
The authors use a term I really love, ethical maturity.
Go on.
They say for a user to really claim authorship, there has to be a meaningful human contribution.
You have to do some work.
You have to edit, refine, arrange. If you just hit generate, take the first thing that comes out and upload it to Spotify, you're not an artist. You're a fraud.
Harsh but fair.
And it comes back to transparency. Label it. Say AI assisted. If you're honest with your audience, you build trust. If you try to trick them, you devalue all music.
Now, for the group that's going to find this the hardest to accept, the musicians, the rights holders, what's their homework?
Yeah, this is the tough pill to swallow. The source says they have to move from defensive resistance to constructive engagement.
Which sounds a little bit like surrender. Like, if you can't beat them, join them.
It's more pragmatic. It's about admitting that the dam has already broken. You can't put the water back.
Just start digging canals.
Start digging canals. Spending all your energy trying to ban the technology is a losing fight. It's here. It's out there. You can't kill it. So instead of just suing to stop it,
get a seat at the table and help write the rules?
Exactly. Define the licensing deals, demand the transparency, help build the system. If they just retreat into a fortress, they risk becoming irrelevant while a whole new culture grows up outside the walls.
Which brings us to the gatekeepers, the platforms, Spotify, Apple Music.
And right now, according to the source, they are failing the test. They're just reacting with panic.
And this is where the authors bring in their own story, right? This isn't just theory for them.
No, it's very personal. So the authors, under their name Soulful AI Music, made an entire album using these principles. They guided the AI, edited, curated. They poured human meaning into it.
They did everything right according to their own framework.
Everything. And when they tried to get it on the major platforms,
What happened?
rejected, flat out. 2 major distributors blocked them.
But why? Was it illegal?
Nope. It was because the platforms have these defensive blanket policies. They're terrified of the legal gray area, so they just block anything that's honestly labeled as AI generated.
That is the irony, isn't it? If they had lied, if they had just pretended they played everything, it probably would have been fine.
Oh, 100%. Because they tried to be transparent, which is worldview 3, they got punished by the system, which is stuck back in worldview 1.
The source calls that system lag.
A classic case. The tech is there, the philosophy is there, but the plumbing, the distribution, the contracts, it's all clogged up.
So creators like them are just stuck in the middle.
They're stuck in limbo. They're pioneers. And, pioneers often get shot with arrows, but they don't see that rejection as a failure.
No.
They see it as a data point. It proves why this conversation is so necessary. They're not trying to cheat the system. They want to update the system.
It's a huge task. We're talking about rewriting the social contract for art.
We are. But what's the alternative? A race to the bottom, where tech companies control everything, musicians starve, and we're all just flooded with meaningless noise.
This integrative path is about preserving human dignity while still embracing the tool.
It's not human or machine. It's human and machine, but orchestrated consciously.
That's the key phrase. Conscious orchestration. Moving from I did this alone to I did this as part of a system.
Right.
As we wrap this up, there's one thought from the essay that is really sticking with me. We talked about meaning making.
Yeah.
In a world where generating the pattern, the melody, the beat becomes totally effortless, where you can create a symphony with one sentence, doesn't the economic value of the pattern just drop to zero?
Basic supply and demand. If something's infinite, it's cheap.
Exactly. So if the pattern is cheap, the only thing left that has any real value is the meaning. The intent, the truth behind the notes.
I think that's it. The machine can speak, but it can't tell the truth. It can't be vulnerable. It can't risk anything. And real art always involves risk.
So the question for you, listening to this, whether you're a musician who's terrified or just someone playing around with these tools is, are you ready to take responsibility for that meaning?
When you use this tool, are you just adding more noise? Or are you using it to say something that only you could possibly say?
That's the real challenge. The tools are getting easier, but the art might actually be getting harder. The bar for what's meaningful just went way up.
And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it forces all of us to be more human.
That's it for this deep dive. A huge thank you to the work of Nish Dubashia and Kaya Celine for giving us this roadmap.
Absolutely. If this sparks something for you, definitely go check out the essay.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next one.
Take care.